It's the great holiday debate, Christmas versus Thanksgiving. Now, when you start to really break it down and look at it analytically and statistically, they've both got food going for them, right? So you've got great food at Christmas, you've got great food at Thanksgiving. Those cancel out, those can't be part of the debate. You've got family time during both of these times. You've got great family time during Christmas, great family time during Thanksgiving. Those arguments cancel out, those can't be included. So what we're really left with is football versus gifts. That's really what it comes down to. At Thanksgiving, you have football, particularly Dallas Cowboys football. And at Christmas time, you have gifts, the receiving of gifts, but also the giving of gifts. You know, I've always been partial to Thanksgiving. But, you know, we can continue this debate another time if you'd like to. But it's my personal opinion that Thanksgiving is the best holiday there is. And one of those reasons is because it allows us the opportunity to reflect and to give thanks. Thank you, Jason, for leading these songs tonight. All about thanking God, giving thanks to God, because He is the giver of all good things. But tonight I want to start by talking about thanking our brethren. If you will, turn to Philippians chapter 1. If you're not already there, that's what Steve just read for us. Philippians chapter 1. That's where we're going to begin our study tonight. And I want to talk about where we direct our thanks. You know, when I was growing up, I have a lot of memories from Thanksgiving because, of course, it was my favorite holiday. But one of those memories was when we would sit down around the dinner table, have the turkey, the dressing, the green bean casserole, the sweet potatoes, all the good stuff. And we would share what we're thankful for. You know, when I was a kid, it would be things like toys, things like possessions. Maybe I'm thankful for my video games. I'm thankful for my football, my baseball glove. As I got older, the things that I was thankful for changed. And now more than ever, and I'm just 24, what do I know? But I'm thankful for people. I'm thankful for every single one of you here tonight. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I am thankful for the example that you are setting, not only for your families, but also to one another. To say, this is important. And I can't wait until Thanksgiving to tell you all that. When I put the title in, I can't wait until Thanksgiving, I'm sure there were some people that were like, oh yeah, I can't wait for the holidays either. It's not I can't wait for the holidays, I'm excited. It's I shouldn't wait until the holidays to express my thanks. That's what we read that Paul did here in Philippians chapter 1. He starts right away in verse 3. I thank my God in all my remembrance for you, always in every prayer of mine. Now, I want to pause real quick here. Check that out. Always in every prayer of mine, every prayer that Paul prays to God, every time that he's bowing his knees, he says, thank you for the church in Philippi. Thank you for their hearts. Thank you for their example. Thank you for their encouragement. It says, always in every prayer of mine for you all, making my prayer with joy. Here's why. Because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. And I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. And I want you to really pay attention to verse 7 here. It is right for me to feel this way about you all, because I hold you in my heart. That's the question that I want to ask just right off the bat here. Do we hold one another here so dearly in our hearts that we're constantly thankful for one another? And I want to take it one step further than that. Do we communicate that thanks to one another? I'm sure the small font up there is probably too small for y'all to see. But the first point up there is don't wait to communicate your thanks. There's one level of being thankful, having a spirit of thankfulness, there's a completely another level to communicate that thanks to one another. It takes it to like tier 2. It takes it to another level when you communicate that thanks to your brothers and sisters. When you communicate that I am thankful for you for X, Y, and Z. I am thankful for your example. I am thankful for your encouragement. I am thankful for your joy. I am thankful for your wisdom. That changes things. That's a different level of thanks rather than just being thankful in your heart. Expressing thanks really is a form of encouragement. As Paul is writing this letter here to the church of Philippi, and I love looking in depth at this letter to the church in Philippi, because Paul is writing this from prison. As we just read here, he's writing this from house arrest. This is one of his prison epistles that he writes. A time that you don't think would be very joyful, a time that you don't think would be very expressive. Paul is thankful, Paul is joyful, Paul is hopeful, and you can see all of that just come through the pages. Later on in chapter 4, you can almost see the words bouncing off the page as Paul talks about how he's learned the secret to being content and everything, and that's not for tonight's lesson. But here in chapter 1, we can see the words bouncing off the page as Paul is expressing his thanks for the church in Philippi. You can see the spirits of the church in Philippi be lifted. You can see their countenance be lifted as you're reading these words. When Paul says, I thank my God for you every time I pray. If there's nothing else that you take from this lesson tonight, and I hope there is because there's a lot more that I've prepared, but if there's nothing else that you take from this lesson tonight, it's this. When we close out worship, when we get ready to depart from here, to not see each other for another couple of days, thank someone before you leave. You're probably thinking of people in your head now that you could go and thank after services are over tonight. Don't keep that in your mind. Don't keep that in your heart. Express that. Communicate that to your brothers and sisters. Because that's a form of encouragement. And we all know that we always need encouragement. The next thing that I want to talk about is obviously being thankful for God's blessings. If you will, turn with me to Luke chapter 17. We're going to spend a little bit of time right here in Luke chapter 17. In Luke chapter 17, we read a story starting in verse 11. And just read along with me here. It says, on the way to Jerusalem, he was passing, that he is Jesus, passing along between Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered a village, he was met by 10 lepers. These men that are inflicted with leprosy, a disease of which there is no cure. It's essentially a death sentence in this time to be diagnosed with leprosy. Their nerves begin to fail. I won't be too graphic, but it is a very, very deathly disease. And these men had leprosy. The only people that they can be around because it's so contagious are other people with leprosy as well. And so there are these 10 men who had leprosy. And they stood at a distance. In verse 13, they lifted up their voices, saying, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. And when he saw them, he said to them, go and show yourselves to the priest. And as they went, they were cleansed. Jesus spoke to them, just said, go, show yourself to the priest. Along the way, they were cleansed. You see, what was the law in the old law was that if someone had leprosy, in order to be fully diagnosed as clean, if someone ever got over it, the priest would be the one that had to diagnose that. The priest would be the one to say, yes, you're clean, you're good, you've been healed, you've conquered this disease, you've gotten over this leprosy somehow. So Jesus said, go show yourself to the priest. He's saying, go be publicly in front of everyone, clean, healed, And along the way, as they were going, they were healed. Their leprosy was healed. Verse 15, then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, along the way going to show himself to the priest, not knowing what's going to happen. You can think in the mind of this leper here, he was told, go show yourself to the priest. He's like, I still got leprosy. So he's going along to show the priest, and he sees he is being healed as he's walking. It says in verse 15, he turned back, praising God with a loud voice, and he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. When was the last time we thanked God with a loud voice? When was the last time we realized that there was a change made in our lives? And we praised God and thanked him with a loud voice. You know, this is one of the reasons that whenever someone commits their life to Christ, whenever someone puts on Christ in baptism, that I love to sing. That when they come up out of the water, that we sing. We sing about being part of the family, rejoicing with the angels that another soul has been saved. This leper, out of his grateful heart, came back to Christ with a loud voice praising God and thanked Christ. Now, if you're familiar with the story, you know that Jesus asks him, were not 10 cleansed? Did I not heal 10 men that I told to go show themselves to the priest, yet only one came back? I hate to say this, but I have a feeling that those odds are close to what we deal with today. That people just want the healing without any response being made, without any thanks being given in return. Now, I don't mean to step on toes by saying that. However, in observation, I think we can agree, whether it's in our own lives, whether it's in the lives of our families, nearly all of us have had times where we lacked the thanks that God is due. In Psalm chapter 100, it's the 100th Psalm, we read about this psalm of thanksgiving. There have been tons of songs that have been pulled from these short 5 verses here in the 100th Psalm. But it starts in verse 1. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know that the Lord, he is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. There's a very, very humble picture that's being painted here. Know that the Lord, he is God. He is in control. He is overall. We are just sheep. We are just small animals in his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. That's verse 4. And his courts with praise. Give thanks to him. Bless his name. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations. Looking into verse 4 a little bit deeper, it almost paints the picture that our thanksgiving to God is our ticket into worshiping him. Verse 4, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him, bless his name. You know, we read a lot in the New Testament about coming together to worship with a sincere heart, with a right heart, to worship God in the right way, to glorify his name, not to bring glory to ourselves, but to direct everything to him. It seems as though the psalmist that penned the 100th Psalm had a similar idea. of humbling ourselves and directing all the praise, directing all of the glory, and directing all of the thanks to God in order to glorify his name. I want you to think tonight, though, about the gifts that we have received. Because when we start talking about Thanksgiving, when we start talking about giving thanks, the thing that comes up the most is what we have received. What the physical things that we've received are the first things that come to mind. I want you to think about not only the physical things that you've received, but the spiritual things that you've received. Think about the gifts that God has given you, the talents and abilities he has given you. Think about the families that God has blessed you with. Think about the friends that God has blessed you with. In James chapter 1, we read that all of those things, every good gift, everything good is from the Father. We see in context there in James chapter 1 that he's comparing and contrasting a little bit between evil and good. That the evil things, God does not tempt us. He doesn't lead us into temptation, and he cannot be tempted himself, but rather, he gives all the good things, not all the evil things. When we think about it in that sense, God is the one that we should be thanking for everything from the smallest point to the largest things that we have been given. We don't always get that straight, though, do we? We don't always remember to thank God even for the smallest things. It's somewhat of a arrogant attitude to stand up and say, but I at least earned that. Can you not give me that at least from my own hard work? I at least earned that. But in reality, it's God who we should be thanking. It's the Father in heaven who we should be thanking for everything, small and large. Finally, I'm thankful for Christ. And I think you are as well. Otherwise, why would you even be here? There's a song, though, that I think perfectly paints how we should express our thanks to Christ. It's the song, I Gave My Life for Thee. It's number 354. And actually, if you don't mind opening up your psalm books and reading that along with me. Number 354, I gave my life for thee. And the first verse says, I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed. This is Christ talking to us. That thou might ransomed be and quickened from the dead. I gave my life for thee. What hast thou given for me? Verse 2, my Father's house of light, my glory-circled throne. Painting the picture of what Jesus had in heaven. I left for earthly nights, for wanderings sad and lone. I left it all for thee. Hast thou left aught or anything for me? I suffered much for thee, more than thy tongue can tell, of bitterest agony to rescue thee from hell. I've borne it all for thee. What hast thou borne for me? And then verse 4 says, and I have brought to thee down from my home above salvation full and free, my pardon and my love. I bring rich gifts to thee. What hast thou brought for me? This entire song we're singing from the perspective of Jesus, the gifts that he has given, the things that he has given up, the things that he has brought to us. And every verse asks the question, what have you brought to me? What have you given up for me? What have you given to me? We're actually going to sing this song real quick. I heard a few of the songbooks slide back in the pew, but if you can grab them, we're going to sing this song real quick. Number 354. I gave my life for thee, my precious blood I shed, that thou might ransom be, and quicken from the dead. I gave my life for thee. What hast thou given for me? My Father's house of light, my glory circled throne. I left for earthly night, for wandering sad and lone. I left it all for thee. Hast thou left aught for me? I suffered much for thee, my when thy tongue can tell of bitterest agony, to rescue thee from hell. I've borne it all for thee. What hast thou borne for me? And I have brought to thee down from my home above salvation full and free, my pardon and my love. I bring rich gifts to thee. What hast thou brought for me? I bring rich gifts to thee. What hast thou brought for me? I think that perfectly tells the story of what Jesus has given and how we are to respond with thanks. You know, when we talk about being thankful for Christ, the best gift of all, that he has offered you and I is salvation, giving his life for us. What response have you made to that, though? What response or what thanks have you given him in return? Not that there's anything that we can give to earn the gift that he has given us. But if we do nothing, if we give no response to his gift, if we give no thanks, if we sit here with a closed mouth and a closed heart to the greatest gift that has ever been given, then we are truly missing out on the greatest gift that has ever been given. I can't wait until Thanksgiving. Not in I'm excited about Thanksgiving. I cannot wait until Thanksgiving to thank my God, to thank my Savior, and to thank my brethren for all of the things that I've been given. My encouragement to y'all tonight, my charge to y'all tonight is to thank your brethren, to recognize the things that people have done for you in your life, to thank your God. Don't be one of the lepers that doesn't return. And to thank Christ. And we thank Christ by confessing Christ. Whatever your need is tonight, you're encouraged to come forward. You're encouraged to make a response, whether that be a response of thanks or whether that be a response of, I'm in need. I pray that you don't leave here tonight without making some kind of response, whether that's in front of everybody or whether that's a personal thanks to your brothers or sisters. That's my charge. That's my encouragement. And whatever your need is, you're asked to please come as we stand and sing.